everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today's Today Changemakers Podcast. I'm your host, Jodi Grinwald. This week, I'm so thrilled to welcome Catherine Curry-Williams, co-founder of She Angels Foundation, founder of Shane's Inspiration, and best-selling author of Philanthropy on a Shoestring, How to Make a Difference with $1.40 a Day. Catherine shares how she's redefining philanthropy and inspiring others to take action. Don't miss the chance to also join us live for an interactive Zoom conversation on February 25th, where you'll connect with others and receive her book. Register now at todayisthedayliveit.com. Again, that's todayisthedayliveit.com. Stay tuned for this fabulous conversation, and don't forget, like us on Facebook and Instagram at todayisthedayliveit, and subscribe. Subscribe to the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast on YouTube, and also you can stream on all streaming sites. Thank you to those who have done so in 864 cities and counting around the globe. Have a great week, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. I am your host, Jodi Grinwald, and every episode I interview the changemakers, the inspirers, and those who are just disrupting the status quo in the best way possible. And today I have Catherine Curry-Williams with me. Hi, Kat. How are you?
I am good. I'm happy to see your smiling, bright face. We need all the light we can, and we need to shine brighter than ever. And you are certainly a shining light. So I'm happy to be here.
Catherine. Thank you. So are you. It takes one to know one. So thank you. And I'm excited to shine such a light on you in this episode because there's so many great things that you're doing, and I'm so excited to share them. But before I do, I'm just going to read a little bit of your bio. Sound good?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm always interested. No, it's a here. What I did now.
People always say at the end after I read it, they're like, I did all that? I'm like, yes, you did. Catherine Curry was a visionary philanthropist with over 27 years of dedication to positive change. As the co-founder of Shane's Inspiration, created a memory of her son in 1997, she has championed global initiatives to build inclusive playgrounds for children of all abilities. In 2020, she furthered her impact by co-founding the She Angels Foundation, which provides grants to grassroots organizations supporting young women and girls. Catherine is a passionate advocate for women's empowerment, sharing her insights through teaching and public speaking. Her efforts have earned her numerous accolades, including L'Oreal Paris Women of Worth, President's Lifetime Achievement Award, and California's Woman of the Year in 2018. Recognized by institutions like the March of Dimes and featured in publications such as Bold Journey and Canvas Rebel, Catherine continues to redefine philanthropy, making a lasting impact on communities worldwide. She just gave a TED Talk about her experience and what she has been through Shane's Inspiration. And you also just launched a book called Philanthropy on a Shoestring. So you have been very busy. And I just want to mention one more thing real quick, which is you were on with me a couple of years ago when I first started this podcast. And we talked about Shane's Inspiration. We talked about She Angels Foundation. And within 2 years, you wrote a book, and actually said a year, and you did a TED Talk. So I can't wait to get started and hear more. You've been busy.
It wasn't as busy as you think. You know, I had years in the making the book, because people said to me, oh my God, how hard was it to make a book? I made the book simple, and not to belittle what it takes to create a book. There was, lots of moving parts, but I had sort of gathered my thoughts from years of decades of trying to understand philanthropy and challenging the conventional concepts of it, and thinking of how did I get here as a philanthropist? And I'll use that word in its true meaning, which means the love of humanity. And when I started going down the road of seeing that and what's its bold intention was, it wasn't about being a millionaire. It was about community. It was about democracy, us taking care of community, something coming in. It was a small, consistent, strategic contributions and donations to an area in one area. And that is really the term that covers a philanthropist. So in my book, I say how to philanthropy. What's the name of that again? Philanthropy on a shoestring. How to make a difference on $1.40 a day is because Siri helped me do the math, and I realized with that amount, I was trying to figure out when I was gathering my book and my thoughts, really, how much is it if you and your 10 friends? Oh, Siri just chimed. Oh my
Siri's
God.
talking to us now.
Yes. And I kept on saying, okay, $4 a day, how much is that? And and then I got down to like, okay, $1.40. And it said $511. And I was like, that's perfect. Myself, 10 friends, that would be 5,000 what? But the $11 I thought was for a glass of wine or a slice of pizza. So I figured with that and 10 friends, we can give a $5,000 grant and have a pizza and a bottle of wine. And that literally changes lives, $5,000. And and so the book came on that very simple premise. So it's a very simple, very easily digestible book, and it is sort of a little workbook in it, asking you questions to guide you in the direction and to tell you how, kind of a how to become a giving circle with your friends. We know how to do book clubs. Giving circles are as easy, as much fun, and definitely maybe more rewarding for sure.
I
So
love that concept. And, and that's pretty much She Angels, right? She Angels is a giving circle, isn't it?
we are a membership organization. So we are the foundation where giving circles don't necessarily have to become a 501c3. They, don't have to go through all the paperwork. They can give to a foundation. Our She Angels is a foundation, and that's where the idea came from. We give grants each month. We give we're a collective giving where we have, members and donations, and we have come in 4 years to give 40. I think we're going on our 48th grant. For January, February, I created with my co-founder and the rest of the team, because literally we're all volunteers, the best teams to vet the organizations that submit for a grant from us. So we are really a nonprofit. We have 2 programs. A giving circle started from the idea of a membership organization. So we are, in fact, kind of a hybrid of a giving circle, you would say.
And I think it's brilliant. It really truly is. And why don't you, for our listeners' purposes, just explain who She Angels gives dollars to? And I want to say firsthand that She Angels gave a donation to the Applaud Our Kids Foundation. We couldn't have done what we did without you, and we're so grateful for that, for the kids in the performing arts. And it's just incredible what those dollars, and like you said, $5,000 is life-changing for so many organizations. But please share, the premise of She Angels.
Well, we give grants to female-founded and operated nonprofits that provide funding, mentorship, and resources to a diverse portfolio of women and girls organizations, because it's a critical unmet need that we give our strategic giving in this area, because there's only 1.8% of all the US dollars of giving go to women and girls causes. So that was the fire beneath or that just got us out. That's why we became a movement, I should say, because we knew we needed to move this in a direction that was up. And so we have given to such diverse organizations, from Women's Veterans Giving, and as you said, to the Organization for Children with that you have, that, and we give to girls programs. Sometimes they have other programs. We give specifically to the girls and women. We're giving a grant to Bally, which is through our giving circle that we have in New York, the Three Tomatoes Glow Magazine Giving Circle. We'll be giving, and that's Bella Abzug's, it's called Bella's Abzug's Leadership Institute, and they take women and young women, I think they're still in college aged. Liz Abzug, she's an amazing woman who takes these young women to get some scholarships and helps them go on. She teaches at Barnard herself. And her mom was the one who created, her mom is not with us anymore, but if you were around in the glory, well, the hardworking days of Gloria Steinem and the feminist and Bella Abzug took, she was the first one to initiate the bill. I'm not going to get this completely correct, but in 1972, women did not, couldn't get a credit card or a mortgage. You were not, as a woman, you needed to have a man, a husband, someone that would vouch for you, not just vouch for you, they had to be on the credit card with you. And in 1974, that was turned over by Bella Abzug, and where she put the initiative up for a bill, and that was changed. And so now her daughter carries on her legacy, teaching young women about leadership. And everything is nonpartisan. We don't do anything political, but we also give to women cancer survivors that support the families and support the women in the family as well. And so diverse. I can't even think of them. I'm gonna sneeze.
Bless you.
Excuse me. I guess we always say that's true when you sneeze, right?
I say the same thing. So yes.
That's the Brooklyn girls in us, or
Yes.
that's the East Coast. We have our mottos. Sneeze, you're gonna, scratch your pump, you're gonna get some money. We can't help it.
No, yes, it must be the Brooklyn girls in us. Yes.
Yes. And so you may know so when I say diverse portfolio, we're almost like, do you know what a DAF is? Where it's deferred money, where a lot of wealthy people don't know exactly where they want to give their money, but they want to give it, and they need their tax. They need to get each tax year. Say you might want to give $50,000, but you don't know where. The DAF is an organization. Geez, all of a sudden, what it stands for is out of my head. They vet organizations of all kinds, and then they will guide your money there. We at She Angels Foundation, sort of a DAF of women's, because we vet all these women's organizations, and then your money is tax deductible that goes towards these organizations. So it comes in here and it goes out there, but we are the caretakers to make sure your money is going to in the direction that you want it to go. And through diverse, we just gave a great organization called Crossing Point Arts in New York, and they help through the arts, through art teachers and us training women who have been human trafficked. And it's such a huge, wonderful program in the schools now. Schools, when I say that, I think they have it in a few more than a few colleges. And every day I find another organization that is more than worthy of what we are able to give. And sometimes they don't fit our criteria, and they are still amazingly worthy. We shouldn't have to we are all, I believe, good and want to give, and most of the time we don't know where and how to give. And my aim is to enlighten individuals on how to give, directly through these type of what we call giving circles, and be a part of what they know they want to do. It's simpler than you think. I know this firsthand, you think you have to be a millionaire to make a difference, but together we can make a bigger impact. And that is where, I go and I speak and I talk, and, that's where my soapbox is. I'm like, really, you can. $1.40 a day, do them, get some friends. Now if you do have friends and you drink coffee, that's less than a cup of coffee a day. $1.40 is.
Here's my Starbucks. I drink coffee.
You
You too.
made mine at home today, so. That was a really good double espresso. My Nespresso machine,
Oh,
because yeah. So it's available, and I want people to know. We also, I am a big advocate for grassroots organizations, because grassroots organizations operate with a lot of volunteers, a lot of knowledge about their community, and certainly everyone likes to, we see the good in people really clearly when it comes to helping a need in their own community. But what we don't see are the grant dollars coming into organizations that are grassroots the same as the grant dollars that come into large organizations. Now, large organizations, not that they don't do some extraordinary work, I would never say that. They do extraordinary work, but we should have a balance between receiving some of those dollars for boots on the ground that are working, share that the funding is it's so competitive to get funding for something that should not be competitive. I know that the Melinda Gates Foundation and these are wonderful foundations that are giving to women, but your operating budget needs to be about $1 million or above to apply for these kind of grants. Grassroots organizations, very few have that operating budget because we have so many volunteers, but we do so much with the money that we have to give and to use for these causes. So I am a huge advocate for grassroots.
thank you. Thank you, because where you just went was where I was going to take us. Because coming from someone who started an organization with the last $100 bill in my dad's wallet when he passed away, and one small community to now being in 12 counties in one state, I can say you are 100% right. We're not perceived the same as some. I worked for what I call the big box organizations, American Heart, American Lung. The work is incredible. They do wonderful things. But when you say the name, it's so recognizable. People open up their checkbooks right away, but it's not the same. So that $1.40 is so much, compounded over time, and with a giving circle is so much more important to the grassroots organization. And I don't know if you have any advice to give to the grassroots organization, and I'm listening very, very much intently here too, is that what advice do you do to get them to be able to share their mission in a way that some of these bigger foundations and bigger corporations will listen? How do you get to open in your thought processes, do you see any opportunities or things we can do to open those doors to some of those bigger organizations?
Well, in light of what just happened in our election, there's something that just
Mm.
unfolded that I was reading in the Chronicle of Philanthropy. There's so many different philanthropy magazines, and they were saying that there is rage giving right now to the smaller organizations because they know with certain different governmental changes, we really suffer. A grassroots organization suffers. So I would say to everyone to go out there now. There's a window of time, and why they're enraged. The donors, like individuals, are most of the pie that goes to charitable giving. If you had the whole pie, small amount of corporate, mostly we have individuals take up an 80%. So this is the time to go to that, back to a well that you might have thought was dry, because I think people might recognize we are not being seen as people, and now we are people who have organizations. So that is, so that tide might be, they call it Rage Giving 2.0. This was something that I learned that I didn't know, and then I started looking for more opportunities to, I hate to take advantage of something that's called rage giving. That is not,
Right.
I'm like shine brighter, shine lighter more now than ever, but rage was not on the first, tip of my tongue, but it does
Mm-mm.
have to do with that. And really it is about your also how do we, social media is, and I am not a social media person. I struggle to open up a Facebook, if once a week, but it is, I have a 25-year-old daughter, and that generation goes there. So putting your message out in that way, and I think more than we are comfortable with, because grassroots, we're like, we don't want to bother you. We just want to, we're just so kind about it. And I'm not saying don't be kind. I'm just saying be more persistent in the message that this is critical unmet need, and use that, do find your inspiration behind it, and don't lose. I'm going to also say to grassroots organizations, I just mentored the director of development for a fabulous organization called Democracy. They help young women realize they can speak. Ones that would stand by the sidelines, like We Have Permission to Speak, which is a great book, by the way, Permission to Speak by Samara Bay. That I would say read that book, because that helps I would say she's not a nonprofit, but it helps embolden us, which is the other thing that we're not comfortable in, because we're helping the community. We're doing good. We don't want to be standing up there and raging, and but we have to put a little more chutzpah into our requests, and because we need to receive these dollars to make the change and the impact that is critical to our culture, and the culture for certainly women being so marginalized, and girls, not that boys and, everybody deserves a shot, but the money is so out of sync. Inequality. I'm a big on inclusion. We brought the inclusion movement for children with disabilities into fruition. And as you heard in my TED talk, I said when I read the numbers that women they get less charitable giving than animals. And I have animals. I love them. They're, I was so outraged to see that number. I knew that I had to get into action for that. And I realized that inclusion isn't just for the playgrounds. Like we need women to be included, to be in the room. And that happens through music. We gave a grant to Maestra in New York, found there's 89% of men are in the able work in the music end of the business.
Right.
So I love what you do, because you are actually training these very young. Maestra is getting and working, having women get jobs. There's, you ask for a woman cellist for, a play on Broadway, and they're like, well, let's see, there's no woman cellist. It's like, and now through Maestra, they're again working on leveling the playing field, and it's a big playing field, and we deserve to have part of it and be paid equally as we do it. And we gave a grant last night to an organization in San Francisco called Tradeswomen. I learned that in the construction industry, I forget the percentage, I think 2%, it's shockingly small, of women in that industry. It's not like they're not capable. So this organization trains the trade for women to be in contractors. We need them more than ever. That industry is in need of more contractors. Why are they not women? Why were those opportunities not open? Because there was no place for them. They get discriminated against, and they're as capable. And if you're not capable, then don't be a contractor. We're not telling the least likely woman to go and do that. But I mean, if you want to be a plumber, if you want to, be a framer, like this should be available. The woman that started it said, I didn't want to take baking class. I wanted to do shop, but because I was a girl, I could only take, I wasn't allowed. I was only cooking. Shop was for the boys. So, it's not that we don't love the boys and the men. It's just we need equality. Did I go on a little rampage there?
No, I love your passion with these things. And honestly, you go in the direction without me. I'm thinking and you're going there. So it's wonderful. Is it, again, must be back to the Brooklyn in us. If you haven't already, we hope that you will subscribe to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Today is the Day Live It. And don't forget that you can stream this podcast on all streaming sites. We love comments, reviews. If something resonates with you, I ask you to take one step further. Share it. Share it on your social media. Share it with friends. We know that we learn so much from each other beyond boundaries and borders of where we live and work. So we hope that if you do take something away from this episode, you will share it with someone you care about. Thank you. I see your book behind you. Can you grab the book behind you, your book that you wrote?
Oh,
For those who are watching the YouTube channel, I just want them to see what it looks like if you can hold it up for them. And I believe you can get it at Amazon, right?
Amazon and all the booksellers, but Amazon and Barnes and Noble and hardcover, softcover. I don't have it in an Audible yet because between the TED Talk and the book, I couldn't record that. And so a friend is going to record it for me. But one thing about the book, besides that it's a short book, but it has questions in it. Like, first of all, I call it your Changemaker toolkit.
Oh, I love
So,
that. For this podcast, that works great.
yes. And then, put together who your squad would be, like, oh, who would be this is for your giving circle. And then where did you, questions of, believing yourself, remember you got this, like this is part inspiration, part, big part inspiration, I have to say, but also looking for the inspiration in yourself, letting you know the benefits of collective giving, teaching you how to start that. And like, where did you hear about philanthropy to begin with? And where did we come up with notions of whatever notions we came up with? So it's kind of gives you an opportunity to think and then go, where did you give? Where did your parents might have gave that you were inspired? Did you see something then that you wanted to give there? Like, just it's also helps you think about it. And everything is a work in progress. The book is a work in progress. I already have a revised edition coming out. Simply
Wow.
revised. Instead of the addendum, it's going to be called resource in the back. So, and
It's wonderful.
the name of your organization again, I it's slipping my mind because I know it's the kids, and then I keep
The Applaud Our Kids Foundation.
Applaud Our Kids Foundations, and that's with the A, and that's why there's because I think did it start Applaud Our Kids?
Oh no, it's Zach G.
Yeah.
Applaud Our Kids Foundation.
Yes. So I'm just looking if that made it. I need to make that addendum. Can you send that to me? I know as we're on the air, can you send that to me? Because they're revising it like as we speak.
I will send that right away to you.
The mission and the website. If you
got
could
it.
Email, text me that, I will get it to the publisher because she's making the revised edition where I'm adding resources to it. So the book will also be resource, toolkit resource, and small and simple because our attention span and everything that goes on today, we need to be able to digest it in a timely fashion. So, because we got to get to work. We got to get to in good work. And my daughter was saying something to me today. She said, "Oh, I have to go." She's here visiting from Baltimore, and she said, "Oh, I'm gonna be sad going back to work next week." And I said, "That's why we aim to love what we do, so we won't have to feel like we're working a day in our life." No, I didn't make that up, but she's like,
"You're speaking my language there, lady," because that's I don't know about you, but I know I spent years, I liked my work, but now when I look back, it brought me to my passion. That's the thing. If I didn't do that work, it wouldn't have brought me around to this work. So I feel like, but you have to be open to listening to what it is that your passion is. Because I think for a long time I wasn't sure which direction, and I know a lot of people go through that. Then all of a sudden it hits you if you listen. I listen. That's important. But I
And that's
love seeing your
book.
family.
I left blank pages in the book because sometimes you just have to like write in the book, it's only $14.99, write in the book, get a pad next to it and then give it to a friend. It's like, because you have to sometimes write in the moment while you're sitting there and go like, what was I passionate about? Okay. And then it's much easier when you start drawing that out of yourself. But how do we know the answers if we're not asking the right questions? So I'm hoping to inspire some simple questions that will get you to find your passion without going through an arduous, 3 decades of a job that didn't, or alongside that job. Certainly, I will have so many individuals come up to me and say, my kids are off to school. I still have my job, but I feel like I'm not doing it. There's something missing when their kids leave, because that's your passion, right? I mean,
Yep.
we raise our children. There's certainly a lot of passion there and a lot of tumult. That's another word. And with that, they go off to school, and that nest that's empty is a longing for purpose. And that's why, in grief and things, when we have a purpose, we can find ourselves bigger than ourselves. It ties everything in. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, but it all ties into faith. And sometimes that's hard in rough times, but I know what is true for me is, and I know for you and so many others, is that when we are helping someone else, it helps ease our pain. Those are gifts that we don't see in the moment. Might seem like a distraction, but helping someone else get off it gives you time in maybe your heavy, aching heart, to a little time to heal, because you're not pushing it so hard. You're putting it out, and so the natural healing can occur. And so that's a way, that's not a distraction or not paying attention. Never neglect yourself, but sometimes by giving, it's really a way of nurturing yourself.
Oh my gosh, that's so well put and so so true. And I know, you went through a lot years ago in the loss of your son, and starting a beautiful organization, as you said, to help others. And there's we're not supposed to lose our children. We know that. That's not supposed to happen. You started an organization out of grief. And I lost a parent, and I started an organization out of grief. It's different. It's not the same. But I just know you're 100% right when you say turning that grief into something that you can, in their name, they can have a legacy for them being here, because we all take up room and space, and we hope that when we leave, we've left a great mark in the world, right?
Yes.
Um, because I feel like that's just so
And
important.
it's not, I know what we do is we don't start out changing the world, because that's just way overwhelming. Then please, I will take my covers, thank you, and an eye mask and huddle under. But the minute you think it's one step at a time, your dad's that $100, I'm going to help one kid. What was in your head is, what if I could make one difference? And then the one difference. And if we keep in our mind that pace, rather than, a very wise coach, Liz Swadek, told me, she said to me, for me particularly, and this I know goes for others as well, but she said, you your fear comes from moving too fast. So I'm going to tell you, she told me, she uh, inspired me to do the TED Talk. So she's an amazing coach, Liz Swadek. I'm going to give her a hello. I love her so much. But that was interesting for me, because I was like, oh, yes, because when you are a visionary, or you have ideas that are that what in your heart, you're like, oh, I could change the world with this. It's like, you retreat because it's too much. And she told me, okay, you slow down because and I probably am talking to a lot of people who are listening to this. We want to get it done. And I'm a get shit done girl. That's GSD all the way. But in doing it, sometimes you need to take a step back and certainly a breath back. I have on my watch, on my phone, I have, because also Liz suggested this, 4 times a day, I have a breathing alarm. An alarm will go off 10:30 in the morning, 8:16, 4 p.m. And it'll say, that's how you love yourself. Take a moment to breathe. Like, it's even in a day, we forget to get present and breathe, even, and I look at it for 10 seconds and I say, okay, Siri, turn off, it's like, but I've done that. I've taken my breath, and that's sort of in the way of the motion of moving too fast and going like, well, I need to have 100 kids. If I don't change 100 kids, then I'm not going to be worth, then I have to slow back and go, okay, 1, then 2, and then 3. And how could we achieve that? Again, that's where the giving circle idea came. Hey, the Prel campaign, I mean, that in our heads. I don't think if anybody's my age, you'll know Prel, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
really, this is community. This is original democracy. It's the neighbors, it's the community. And I don't think I think we have lost some touch with that. But my daughter's, when she came home for this visit, and we talked a lot about community, she said, Mom, I need to find my community, be it more. She used the word, and then there was someone else, a young woman said that in the same week, and I'm like, oh, it's not forgotten. It's just been globalized through the phone, through the watch, through the way it's gotten bigger. So now we have to kind of slow down and take a moment to see the people that are right around us, that we can um, be a part of each other's lives. And that's our community. And sometimes our community is all the way in Jersey when I'm in LA. That's okay too. Pick up the phone and call your community. So
It's so vital, and it's not always easy to find your community, but when and I have friends for 25, 30 years. We don't see each other often, but when that moment comes that you need somebody to listen, you can pick up the phone and reach out. So it doesn't have to be the masses. It can be just a few people that make up your community. It doesn't have to be tons of people. I'm very lucky through Changemakers. I've met the most incredible people changing the world, but they all have this very similar story in that it didn't just happen miraculously. It's a lot of work. And, I'm listening to you intently because my nickname is Tornado. That's what I've been called since I'm young. So when you say about going fast and having a fear that you can't get it all done, I can feel that, not just hear it, because that's exactly how I feel. And like that failure feeling comes, and I'm a coach myself, but that failure feeling comes in when you're like, there's so much I want to do, and I want to change the world and make it a better place and all of that kind of thing. Not because I want accolades, but because it just feels so good to help somebody, right?
right, giving is the best receiving, I think, that we get. I'm certainly our type. There maybe it's different types of people get it in different ways, but for sure that when I give, I receive. As a matter of fact, I'm one of 4 sisters. One of my sisters never wants to take a gift or never, no, I'm like, you are selfish. You are selfish, because if I give to you, I receive so much. And guess what? She is the most giving person I know. She would take off her coat and put it down on a puddle for you. But it is like pulling teeth to get her to receive. And every time she says no, I say, I am driving that home. You are selfish. You're not letting me receive back. And not just me, others I see wanting to give to her, because she's just such a beautiful, giving person. And it's a lot for women. Andrea Quinn, who is amazing, coach. She coaches in New York also. She wrote something called, well, it's called the Queen Essentials. And she talks about how women, one of her essentials that we do not understand, well, don't we understand? What she's bringing to light is that it's so hard for us to receive. This culture did not make it easier for us to understand that it is not helplessness to receive. We got somewhere a message between feminism and you know, the other opposite of feminism, what word? The misogyny. We got lost. It's like, we are receivers. We receive, and the more we receive, the more we create. This is part of her, you know, she's got a wonderful book. That book is called The Queen Essentials. And that is so true, because when you're receiving and you take a time for a second there, and then you're like, oh, you just get more creative. That is part of the feminine brain. This is what we thrive on. But because, like I said, the culture is like, no, I don't need your help. Don't take my wagon for me. No, I could do it myself. Thank you very much. I could, no, I got that. And her specific training about receiving, one of her 9 brilliant essential things that women need to know is about receiving. And so
Yeah.
yeah.
It's all about connection. That the bottom line for all of this is, and that's my biggest platform, is it's all about how we connect. And when we can feel connected to something, oh my gosh, the energy is just unbelievable and makes us, I mean, your feet don't touch the ground. There's so much I can say to this, because I'm also on this mission too, and I think you'll understand this. You know, we say the words all the time and ask the question, how are you? And we do not really typically, if you think about how many times you say that to somebody a day or they say it to you, we throw the most connective question away because, and so many times because we are so afraid that, you know, if you say I'm not doing well, or I have an issue, or I'm challenged today, or whatnot, it seems like you're weak, or maybe the person doesn't want to hear it. And so we throw away this connective question as if we're just saying we're going to the store, and, you know, or what store did you go to today? It's like, how are you? And the other day somebody said, and I'm sure you can give an example of this too, because I know you're such a giving person. When I asked them that, they go, I'm all right. And I was like, and he went to go on, and I said, no, let's back it up. I'm all right. That's not all right. So let's talk about that. And I feel like that, you know, what you're saying about asking for help, it's a form of this not wanting to share a vulnerable side because most people don't want to listen.
Well, it is, we have been conditioned to, like you say, you know, it becomes a throwaway. Um, and we're not listening to when, except remember when, well, you have kids.
Yeah. And they're 26 and 23. So yeah.
Right. So that, you know, I remember the kindergarten teacher said, don't ask your kid when she comes home from school today, how is she? Because she's just going to say, fine, 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 fine. That's all you'll hear. Fine.
Mhm.
And, you know, so she taught me to reframe the question. What was the best thing about your day today? What was the worst thing about your day? Um, if you could change anything about today, what would it be? Because the fines, and sometimes when I'm more patient and more, I'll even do that to my grown-up friends, because we, not more patient, but I know that there's room for that. And
Yes.
you know, you have to, you know, read the room in that way, read what's going on, because it's not a real question when you ask somebody how they are and they say fine, and you say okay, and you move forward.
Right.
Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
so it is, again, part of the, you know, it's the culture, how we move things so fast. And we, you know, I think I mourn the loss of that, like slowness, as well as, you know, technology and speed has brought so many great things. But I don't think we've come to a balance. Well, you can see where we are in our country, you know, and in other countries
Mhm.
as well. The balance is not right. Um, mm, and I wish I had that answer, and I wish I could be like, you know, bewitched. How old am I? I keep on going bewitched. I'm going to say my Rolodex. I don't know. I'm going to find all the things that no one knows what they are anymore.
I do, so it's good.
The kids don't learn cursive in school. I mean, we called it script, right? Writing was script.
Script. It
Then it
was
was
script.
cursive. And then my daughter has such beautiful handwriting and she's 25, but recently I gave something to the nail salon and she was looking at something. One of the girls in the nail salon, she was only maybe 19, but she said, "Oh, what? Oh, that's pretty. Is that script? Is that?" I was like, "Oh my God, that's." And then I brought that up to a few friends and they go like, "Yeah, I know they didn't teach their kids are like still teenagers and they're not teaching them." I'm like,
Yeah, so I don't get it. How do they expect kids? So my
"Yeah,
stepson, which
right."
I say my bonus son, had to sign a non-driver's license because we were going away on a cruise. So he needed some sort of government ID. So he had to sign his name, and he looks at my husband and he's like, "I don't know how to do cursive." So at the DMV, he had to teach him how to sign his name.
I mean, it is that completely boggles my mind because
Mm.
they won't be able to read much of the historic letters from maybe their grandparents. Like my grandmother's, she was an immigrant, came from Poland, but she spoke, I think, 7 languages. She was a teacher. She wrote in 5 languages. I remember looking in that construction book. She wasn't probably teaching then. I remember I was 5. I would be like, look at all that fancy writing and so on. But, I can't imagine that script looks like another language to these kids.
Oh, it has to. Without a doubt. But I want to go back to what you said about the technology, because with that technology, we're talking about how technology has its bad things, but it has its good things. And one of the good things that it has, besides, I still like Facebook sometimes. Sometimes I don't, but sometimes I like it. But the one thing is the TED Talk and the TEDx and people getting to see. And I want to talk about that with you before we go. I was so excited to see that you had done a TEDx, and I see it's TEDx Fargo, and I shared it already, but I will reshare when this comes out. So talk to me about what made you do it. Tell everybody what the topic is about and where they can find it.
Well, it's on YouTube. It's my name, Catherine Curry-Williams. TEDx Fargo was a choice because that particular TEDx Fargo. I had never been. Again, I'm from Brooklyn. Fargo, what? And anyway, by the way, I love Fargo, North Dakota and South Dakota. The Badlands, the Greenlands. I drove it from North Dakota all the way to Mount Rushmore. It was the most beautiful land I'd ever seen. And, because I come from New York, I haven't been a lot of places in between. I've been to other countries, but not seeing our land. So I recommend it highly. Um,
Hmm.
they do the same format as the Big TED. It's a full day of a convention. There are 15, 20, I don't even know how many speakers because there's so many green rooms and so on that you're in the back and working on yours that I missed. Now I'm catching up on it because they came out on YouTube. Couldn't watch everybody's and memorize mine. But so I chose that one, and when I was accepted to that one because it was a larger one, and I thought, well, if I'm going to throw my hat over the wall, I might as well throw it into a ring that's respected through that. And someone recommended that to me, by the way. My friend Randy Thomas, who is amazing, and she did her TEDx there. Anyway, its topic for me is pain to purpose. And it starts in the day of 1997 with the loss of my son and to current day in what I'm doing. And it's only 9 minutes and 40 seconds long. So if you have 9 minutes and 40 seconds long, it's about an ordinary life, and many people touching me and learning, and it talks about my childhood. I was a latchkey kid. So it was like not unlikely, and certainly unlikely when you have a loss of a baby. your first child, and I know this from being a part of some groups with babies that they lose. It is very hard to get up and get out of bed and want to get to the next day, nevertheless be a change maker for someone else. But when you have decades behind you and you can see, I see now that it gave me my life. And it, again, I go back to the faith. I was angry and sad, and my husband was more mad than anything, like, why, and so many things with children. I do believe in freedom of choice, so everybody should have, but at that particular time, everybody was uh, uh, abandoning their babies in churches. They were finding babies in garbage cans, literally. 1997, like every other news article. And my husband was like more than outraged of what would and here we are, but we don't know what is in store for us. It's why we have to continue, because we must shine our light. And that's something that I knew, but it took until I received something from my sister-in-law, Miriam, who's now passed away herself, that inspired me to do something good. And once you get that, and that's what my story is about. And I'll tell you, it was hard to put it into 9.5 minutes, because that's the TED, but that's it. And if you listen to it and you like it, I see the comments. I would love to hear from you. And I'm grateful that you would even listen to the story. And only thing that I wish from that is for you to be inspired and to know that good things can come out of things that look horrific at the time.
When I listened to the first minute and a half of it, I mean, it's just takes your breath away listening to your story and how and what you went through, and you far from had an ordinary life. I feel like you just are extraordinary, and you're doing extraordinary things. And I'm grateful to know you, and how we met and how it all came about is just so incredibly amazing, because it's a perfect example of how you just never know. And as much as you had such a great loss, he also gave you an amazing gift of today, right? Back then, it didn't feel that way at all.
Right. You can't, you couldn't know, but yes, you're right. It gave an amazing, amazing life, and certain things, I believe, or to continue to believe and continue to have to be inspired and continue to shine our lights, because the dark is not where we want to, it's not a place to live, it's the light is where things grow. And so in our darkest moments is where we have to be the lightest. And my other sister will say, well, I want your life, look at everything that you do. I'm like, I practice every morning. I wake up, I listen to something that inspires me, a meditation through the day. Like, I have to practice. This is not like lollipops and chocolate cake all the time, and wine, although those things are wonderful, and pizza. I'll go through the list of delicious things I want, but I practice seeing the light, then I practice being the light, then I practice sharing the light. And I say, see the light, be the light, share the light, but that takes all of that is practice.
It is. And I think that's what we called your last episode too,
Oh,
was Be the
yeah.
Light.
Oh,
See the
see?
light, be the yep, that's
Okay.
exactly what that was the title that we called it. It's
It's
really
funny that we're
seriously.
coming around right now, because now more than ever, and all the questions and all the places I get to voice any thought of mine, I will begin it with, we need to be shine brighter than ever. So I have I guess I do have a theme.
You do, you do. And it's wonderful because that's what we remember every time we talk. I talk to you. I remember you saying these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm having a deja vu because I remember when you first said it, I wrote it really big on my page while you were saying it. It's like I needed that in that moment. Sometimes we get what we need and we don't even realize it just by a conversation. As long as we pay attention to the words. I ask everybody this question, which is, what is the legacy you're creating now that you want to leave behind? And I feel like I know the answer to this already, Catherine, but I'm asking all of my change makers that question in this season.
Um, I want to leave a legacy of women, youth, and culture that leaves a legacy that for women and equality and balance and brightness and the legacy that continues on with all that will follow us, that we would be the women that they would have looked to, and they can say when they make a dedication in their book, because my dedication is to the women that I know and don't know that open the door for us to be change makers. So may we be those women that our children have seen, paid attention to some of the wisdom we have, and it is, as Karen Carpenter said, wisdom born of pain. No, Helen Reddy, yes, I am wise, and it's wisdom born of pain. And if we are not being wise from that pain, we are still probably circling in the pain. So I look forward to the wisdom of our children. So
It's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this time with you because whenever I talk to you, you just, I don't know, my feet can't touch the ground afterwards because you're so inspirational. And all the things you say you want to do, you're doing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you feel it, but I can tell you on this side, you're totally doing it. I definitely look
I've
to
been
you and I
seeing
love.
Oprah and Michelle, because I got that is speaking and talking and seeing, because women are solutions, and we together we are, as I say over and over again, together we are greater and make a bigger impact. And it's all women of color, of non-binary, everyone who chooses to walk in these shoes. Like together we really can do the things that you and I know that are in the front of us. And right now it's really a rough one for women, feeling like that we've got taken a huge step back. And so I just implore everybody to let's shine that light brighter, even if it's when you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning, see that light, because it's the only it's the one thing we are in control of, seeing it dark or seeing it light. It's your choice. And if we choose a choice, then let's choose that one.
Absolutely. Anything that you want to share before we end?
No, I'd like to share that I would prefer double martini and we could just sit back and, smell the roses. But I think I like mixing work and pleasure. I think it's a good thing to do. And as we said, I love that I do this, and take time for yourself in all the world changing that we do, that we take time for ourselves to replenish, because women don't remember. We can't give it all that way.
Self-care is not selfish.
Mm-hmm. There you go. There you go.
Absolutely. Catherine Curry-Williams, I am so grateful to you.
And
Thank
I
you.
am grateful to you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, anytime.
I look forward to seeing you on the East Coast. I will have a double martini, please, with 3 olives.
That sounds like a plan. You tell me when you're here
I
and
might
I will
nurse
meet
it
you.
for 5 hours, but that will be my plan. Okay.
I'm here. So whenever you are, you let me know. And I'm going to say what I say at the end of every single podcast. Today is the day. You cannot go back to yesterday and you do not yet own tomorrow. So what steps, small or large, are you going to take today to get yourself closer to your goals. Thank you again for your time, Catherine. I cannot wait to put this out there and make this episode live. Have a great week, everyone. Bye, Catherine.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this incredible episode with my guest, Catherine Curry-Williams. If you haven't already, you can tell that just by giving $1.40 a day, you can truly, truly make a difference. I'm asking you to take the next step. By doing so, join us on February 25th, 2025, I will be hosting an event where Catherine Curry-Williams will be live answering questions and sharing more about her incredible vision on how she's creating a true movement and change in the conventional ways of philanthropy. If you go to our website, today is the day, live it. I know it's long, guys. Today is the day, live, LIVEIT.com. You can register. And if you do register for this event for just $35, you actually do get her book sent directly to you. This is a great opportunity to interact with someone who is really transforming the way that we think about philanthropy. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and following us. We are so excited to be out there and being downloaded in 864 cities and growing around the world. So hopefully you will continue to join us and stay tuned. Next week we have another phenomenal guest. Bye, everyone.